The title is Testimonios of the Gang Culture Brought by Deported Immigrants and the Healing Process of the Inhabitants of the Colonia, Independencia in Puebla City, Mexico. This is a picture that my brother, he sent it to me from the 90s. And I don't know if you can appreciate, but all of them, they were breakdancers and hip hoppers and the graffiti in the back. That picture was taken, like I said, in the 90s, but we will go to that. So the realization, it turns out that one day I was in this class in New Mexico State University, and we were revising this book, Border Rhetorics by Robert Chain. And at some point, I read this: undocumented people living, breathing, and traveling within the United States are constantly reminded that they have crossed the border. And I was like, okay, that's me at some point. Yeah, because all the time I get notifications that I don't belong here. So, yeah. And even if that border is far away from where they are headed or ultimately arrive. And then I found frustration that centers around anxieties and fears about educational quality, increased crime, disorderliness, housing, culture, economic, health services, and language. And I was like, wait, didn't I see that before? And it was like a moment of, the bulb that turns on here. I had that moment. And I was like, I really need that. And even I called my brother and my cousins and my mom. And I was like, am I wrong? Like, and they were like, no, we all saw all of that. And later, this is me. Yeah, I changed so much. And this is me here too. This is my house. And as a kid that grew up without a father in the beginning, I was always being taken care of by my grandma's family all the time. And in that era, the only house that was in this side, it was my grandma's house where I used to live, Neto's house, Donio's and Jaime's house, Jorge and Oscar's house, and that was all. This is Neto's house right here. And the rest, it was just an empty space. No, there were no streets at all. We were a very small community. And every year, this little land here, it used to turn green with sunflowers and bees and, the Haiti from the cartoon Haiti, like running in the mountains. It was like that. Yeah. It was like that. For 8 years it was like that. But suddenly, one day Jorge, he comes over and he's like, hey, what the fuck? Me and my friends were like, what the fuck? ¿Qué es eso? We didn't know. And he was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the? Everywhere. And me and my friends were like, what's happening with him? Then he explains, he's like, oh, one of my dad's friends, he just came over along with other friends. They were recently deported. And they were in America, they were in the US. And the gringos didn't treat them well. They hate American people. For not say another word. And I was like, okay. And what is what the fuck? And he was like, yeah, that's how you say it whenever you want to scare somebody or whenever you want to defend yourself from enemies that we might have here in the street. And I was like, street? What street? We don't have streets here. That was the beginning. Right after that, Jorge and Oscar. This was their little store that they opened. And these guys weren't only one, no. Suddenly we start seeing a flow of men, only men, of like around 20 or 30. And from those 20 or 30, I can tell you like 60, 70% of them, they were deported immigrants that once were our neighbors, but from a little side closer to the Colonia. And then this change about defending the street, about piercings, about graffiti, and the city also expanded to where we lived, and the fields started to having more houses and houses. And it was like a change that happened in 2 years or 3 years at the most. And we were like, what street, what, like English, and then they started introducing new words like ese, like hey bato, hey homie. Like homie? Where does that come from? And then we started to split ourselves. Like part of my friends, they joined the new Deported immigrants, and they started hanging out with them. And then they started liking the marijuana, the other drugs that they had. They started drinking with them, and they were only like 13, 14. And they were hanging out with them here in the store, the little Tindita. And this guy is only one representation of the 20 or the 30 men that were always here. My grandma, she was always complaining, oh, these men, they are always making a mess. And it was very dangerous at some point because they wanted to defend the street, but to defend it from everybody, including the neighbors. And then there were more houses, and then we started creating more walls. This was the empty space that where I used to play. And everything was starting to fill with trash and cats and dogs. You couldn't even walk in the street without being beaten or persecuted, if not by the animals, by the different gangs that searched from all of this. And it was like a way for them to exist, I think. And at some point, I was thinking, why we didn't support them instead of helping them, but we were equally poor. How we were going to help or support them? We didn't have healthcare or money or anything like that either, so how are we going to help them? And suddenly, these 30 men, they converted into 50. And always, like I said, drugs, fights, assaults. It was like a total time of confusion, because we didn't have an identity in those days. We were pretty new for the city. And then the Colonia converted into a barrio. We're in the barrio, man. For us, a barrio, it is a small place with little spaces where lots of families live. That's a barrio for us. We didn't consider a barrio the houses, because all of us, we had houses by ourselves, close to each other, but houses next. But in the barrio, it was like many families living in one point, right? And we didn't consider that. Even we had fights in our family because it is a barrio. No, it is a colonia. It is a barrio. And later, yeah, you couldn't walk in. It was crime everywhere. And the worst it was that they used to call it work. Hey man, I'm going to work. Meaning I'm going to assault or kill someone. At this point, I have Oscar and I have have El Bolas too. Two of them they're already dead. And Oscar is still in jail because he killed one person. He's Jorge's brother. So, among all of these changes, my cousins, this is my cousin, where is it? This is my cousin, this is my cousin, this one too. They stayed more and they got more involved with them, with the new gangs. I don't have pictures of the gangs because honestly in those days we didn't have a camera, so that's why. But they get more involved and they learned from them. They learned the street culture, or the version of the street culture that the immigrants brought from the US. And then they created their own band, which is called Dulce Odio, means sweet, H from hip hop, and audio from hate. And even for this presentation, I asked them, hey, can I grab some of your, or can I use some of your music? And they were like, yeah, sure. And let me try, let me try to play it here. So you can, I hope you can listen. To what they used to sing. I don't have the speakers, but something, please.
Apenas alcanzaban los 13 o 14 años y desde entonces ya me agradaba lo malo. Nunca pensé que pasar un balón formaría un gran legado. Pasaron días y noches enteras en el barrio donde se vivía la delincuencia, diarios vagos, tomando y escuchando música en un viejo radio donde relataban lo que se vivía en el mundo bajo. Esos fueron los inicios de estos que te están hablando. Así empezamos nada de rap en inglés, puro el rap de Mex, en el carraco bajo funky place. Con los machetes el traje también casi fue. Con una compu vieja en un pequeño cuarto seguimos grabando con el mismo.
So, let me stop it because I don't want to take more time. And like I said, I asked them, hey, am I wrong what we saw? They were like, no, you're totally right. Because I said, I'm going to present this. And later, let me see. Okay, there we go. And then they stayed with this. Even today, they keep talking about what's happening in El Barrio. And delinquents and all of these times, I guess, they forced a new identity that we have today. Because like I said, when we were there in the 80s, it was there was nothing. It was just land, empty land, with nothing else, just us right there. And then today, we're living a healing process. After all, most of the gangs, they kill each other or die because of drugs and all of these horrible situations that they passed. Some of them, they're still there. And now we have commerce. People can open and they make business. You can go outside. Like I said, when I came here to the US, I didn't know how to cook. Because in here now you just like go out to the street and there is always somebody selling food. So, and today there are workshops for the neighbors. We have hospitals. It is like a more urban, a urban center, but also delinquency still happens, but not that much as it was before. Even the neighbors that were scared from the graffiti, from the hip hop, now they are like, okay, that's part of us today. That we understand better how what you like to do in the case of art too. We have playgrounds. We have more spaces for recreation. I mean, it is not perfect, but it is something that is still happening, right? We have schools today too, and when I tried, or when I tried to present this idea, believe me, I was just like, I guess nobody wants to listen to this. It's my life, who cares, right? Because we are very used in the Colonia that everybody is silent. One thing is being silent because you want, but another thing is being silent because the same society oppresses you. So I told them that I was going to present here what we lived in the 90s with the gangs. And they were like, okay, make sure you show them who we are and where you come and where we come from. In El Barrio, we say you can leave El Barrio, but El Barrio won't ever leave you. So I brought the Barrio also with me. Right? This is part of the graffiti. This wall has been painted lots of times. I cannot count how many. Even the owner, he was like, oh my God, I don't want them to paint graffiti. And he finally gave up. So this is it. When we say Chido Cámara Carnales, we say thank you. See ya. Thank you so much. My name is Rafa.